Hey guys, what is up? Steven here again. Going to do a film breakdown on Corey Linsley, the new Chargers starting center. Super excited about the addition of Linsley onto the Chargers. I think it was, the biggest no-brainer, excuse me, of the offseason. Going from arguably the worst center in the league to arguably the best center in the league. I mean, that's just kind of a no-brainer in general. And I think this is going to be a huge, huge signing for the Chargers long term. I am going to throw a wind out of caution to everybody right now. Like, I think the Chargers are heading in the right direction for the offensive line, but it's going to take a little bit for this unit to gel because they are going to be replacing most likely four starters on the offensive line. So I think they'll take a nice bump up, obviously, just because they'll have more talent this year. But we'll see the real dividends of this offensive line unit and what they're building in 2022. So as much as we would want all of it to be great right away, just have some patience. I think it'll be much better. I'm pretty sure that that will be the case, but I think it's going to be that much better in 2022. So that being said, let's get into this breakdown. Really excited. I have 9 clips for you guys, kind of outlining what I think of Corey Linsley as a player, what are his strengths, and talking about some of his weaknesses. Before we get to that point, I do have to mention our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped has been working with us for the last few months, and we've been, so fortunate to work with them. They're a great partner. They have some great products, including the Lawnmower 3.0, I think is the most current edition. So you can use the code GUILTY at checkout for 20% off your order, which is a fantastic deal. Make sure that you're feeling your best downstairs, and they have some great cologne and other things as well to make sure that you are smelling your best. So definitely check them out. Again, that's code GUILTY for 20% off your order at manscaped.com. All right, let's get into this film breakdown. All right, so first and foremost, the thing that I want to talk about with Corey Linsley and just in general on the offensive line and specifically the center position is something that Corey mentioned today in his press conference. If you were able to listen to that, he had some great stuff there. But he said that his biggest responsibility and the biggest responsibility of any center really is to make sure the whole offensive line is on the same page, and that includes setting the protections and being able to have that constant communication. And when you really watch the Packers offensive line and what the Chargers have had over the last few years, you really feel that difference of how that communication has panned out. Obviously, the Packers, they have the best or second best probably unit in the league last year, and so they're more talented for sure. But you can tell just like the cohesion and the communication was just so much better. And so that's the first thing I want to talk about. It is just in pass protection, right? When you have all these stunts in games, when you have these players looping around and trying to confuse the offensive line, it's so important to have that communication. And Tyler and I talked about that when we did a breakdown earlier in the season. And it's something that Dan Feeney really struggled with. Is something that Forrest Lamp, and it's kind of an inexperienced thing, but it's also just kind of understanding those fronts and watching enough film and being able to break those things down. So that's one thing that Corey Linsley really excels at, and that's what I'm going to get to here on this first play. I have 3 plays that show just kind of how things worked for him and how he was able to do a much better job than what we saw out of the Chargers. So obviously he's the center going against Vita Vea. This was the NFC Championship game. They did play the Buccaneers twice. Obviously, they did play in Tampa and then in Green Bay. And this front that they have is just it's cracking me up because Ndamukong Suh is off the ball. Like the Buccaneers, as we all watched when they played the Chargers, they did so many different creative things. And if you watch the first Packers and Tampa Bay game, the Packers really struggled to pick those things up. And, maybe they just weren't prepared for it. Maybe the Buccaneers did some new things, like putting Ndamukong Suh off the ball in this case. But even though Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul really had their way, I did feel like the offensive line for the Packers played better in this game than in the first game. And so obviously I think that Corey Linsley was a big part of that. So you see his little hand motion right there. That's something that is always constantly happening. He has that good communication. And just look at this pocket, right? Like it's not perfect, but it's damn near perfect. And this is just something that never really happened for Justin Herbert at all last year. But I want to take it back here. So you have Devin White, Levante David, and Vita Vea, and then Ndamukong Suh. And so all four of them are going to come on a blitz. Levante David does drop out. So, you're going to have Vita Vea come across Corey's face, and then you're going to have Devin White also come across his face. And so it's a stunt that is designed to confuse you because you have a defensive tackle lined up 4 yards off the ball. And so he's going to come off towards the left guard, and then Devin White and Vita Vea are going to slant to the right. This is something that would have given the Chargers fits. Like, this is something that Ndamukong Suh probably gets this sack right here. He probably hits Justin Herbert right in the face. But look at Corey Linsley pass this block off. So first he's going to pass Vita Vea off to his right guard, who I don't know his name, does a great job of just making contact, making sure that Vea felt his presence. And then he's going to absorb the rush from Devin White and pass Ndamukong Suh off to Elshon Jenkins, who is a fantastic left guard in this league. So they handle the stunt perfectly. You pass one off, you pass another off, you absorb the contact. That's textbook pass protection against a stunt. And it's something that the Chargers struggled with mightily on pretty much every single week. And because the offensive line is able to pick this up, it results in like a 25-yard gain by Rodgers to Allen Lazard. So that's huge. All right, so next one against the Lions here. Again, it's going to be a relatively simple stunt, but these stunts, they gave the Chargers fits. So basically what's going to happen here is 51 and 58 are going to switch spots. Linsley, again, makes contact, has a strong punch. I think that's one of his strong suits. It's being able to time his punches and land them effectively. And then at the last second, he's going to come off and get the linebacker number 58 as well. He receives a little bit of help from Jamal Williams, but this is just something that we didn't see out of Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp and whoever was played at right guard. So there was no communication. There was no cohesion. There was no, you attach to somebody and that's who you block. And so, it's just going to be so nice to see the, the communication stepped up in a huge regard just because of Corey Linsley. Again, one more stunts. You see his little pointing here, like you see my left hand. The communication is always happening. And you can tell, he said that he has a great relationship with Aaron Rodgers, and you could tell that. And, he played with Elshon Jenkins. He played with Bakhtiari. All these guys were together for a long time. So that really, it shows on tape when you have that kind of cohesion and chemistry. All right, again, look how smart he is in this specific one. Like, he's going to take on this defensive tackle, and just like right away, you see his head. So he's blocking this guy and his head is the other way. He's still engaged right here on the nose tackle, but he knows that stunt is coming. He knows that the other guy is going to come across, and then the other guy, his guy, is going to loop around. Like, that is so smart. That comes from film study. That comes from, hours and hours of watching this opposing team. And then, yeah, it's not like super pretty. He does get bull rushed a little bit, but he's just so smart at diagnosing these plays early before they happen. And, it's just the little things of like having that kind of awareness, having that kind of intelligence that makes the difference between a Dan Feeney and a Corey Linsley. Because Corey Linsley and Dan Feeney probably like physically, like they're pretty similar. Like they have similar skill sets. It's just that Corey Linsley is so much smarter, and he works that way. And so like, Dan Feeney is probably a little bit of a better athlete than Corey Linsley, but I think that difference really is in the preparation, in the awareness, and in the smarts. Dan Feeney was a 3rd-round pick. Corey Linsley was a 5th-round pick. So it's just, like he was talking about Aaron Rodgers. He's like, talent gets you started, right? But it's the intelligence and the understanding and command of the offense that really gets you to that next level. And you could tell when you watch Corey Linsley that that's what was happening. And so just really excited to be able to watch a center who has that kind of grasp and understanding of the offense and what's happening on across from him, because they really haven't. Even Mike Pouncey struggled with those kinds of things, but Mike Pouncey was just an amazing run blocker and an enforcer type of lineman. So that was the kind of difference there. All right, so the next one here, I'm going to talk about his ability to get to the second level, because he is very, very good at that. He is a good athlete. He's not a great athlete. You know, I've talked about like Elijah Vera Tucker and like Samuel Cosme being like, you know, amazing second level blockers. Corey Lindsey is very good at that. But he does most of it again with his smarts and with his brain and taking angles and being able to get to the second level effectively that way. So this is going to be an outside zone to the right, something that the Chargers are probably going to be doing a lot with the new coaches. But you know, his job here, he's got to be able to get this nose and chip him enough so that Jenkins can take over for him. Then he's got to get up to the next level and get Levante David. And we all know how good Levante David and Devin White are, like arguably the best linebacker duo in the league, and super, super fast, downhill, physical, right? And so his job here is to chip the nose guard just enough so Jenkins can come in behind. We call this a scoop block with the middle school that I work with. I don't know, some people call it other things, but we call it a scoop block because Lindsey is scooping up to the next level. And so it's a little unorthodox. It gets a little heavy there in the traffic, but he gets there and he's so smart and he works that angle. And this is something that Dan Feeney would have really struggled with. Dan Feeney would have done this play and then tried to go up, but Lindsey takes it out wide. He takes the smart angle here, gets just enough of Levante David and actually Devin White as well. And so it allows Aaron Jones, you know, a few more yards. You know, this is 5 more yards because of Corey Linsley that Aaron Jones doesn't get without him. You know, if Corey Linsley doesn't do his job and basically get a 2-for-1 right here, Devin White probably makes this tackle right at the 38, 40-yard line. Instead, Aaron Jones keeps going and he gets to the other 35. So those things add up, right? And if Corey Linsley doesn't do that, he doesn't take that angle, then, you know, that's a different game. I think it was I want to say it was like 3rd and 6 at this play. So there's a chance if Corey Linsley doesn't get this, get that block, that it's 4th down and they're punting. So huge play. And those things add up. Again, to the second level here, this is something that he does super, super well, is he just anticipates where the linebacker is going. And this isn't it's not going to blow your mind or anything like that kind of play, but he's so smart and he understands these angles. And then he can hold his own against, you know, a guy like that in space. And it's just a very simple block. But again, if he doesn't get that block right there, if he stays on this double team right here at the point of attack for too long, then Devin White makes this play. And I did a breakdown on Forrest Lamp and Trey Turner earlier in the season, I think against the Chiefs. And there were times where Trey Turner would just really he would stay too long on the double team and wouldn't be able to get up to the second level. And it really hurt the Chargers' effectiveness of the run game. And so being able to come off this block, at just the right time and get up to Devin White, you know, if Aaron Jones has a little better vision here, I think they could get even a few more yards. But, you know, if Lindsey doesn't do this effectively, then it's a tackle for loss by Devin White. So these little things add up. All right, the next one is going to be a screen against the Texans. Really does, again, a fantastic job of getting out and understanding this angle, because he knows this is a tough block. Like, this is a really hard block up out wide against the linebacker. I want to say that's Whitney Merciless, but just a fantastic job of getting there. Same with Elgton Jenkins. Marquez Valdez-Scantling does a good job blocking. But just such a good job of him getting to that next level. And he is a very good athlete, right? Like I said that, you know, he's not the best athlete. He's not the smoothest athlete, but he understands the angles well enough that he will be able to do the job sufficiently and impact plays in a positive manner that we just haven't really seen. Like, that's a tough block. Something else I want to talk about just for a little second, watching the Packers and the way that they use Davante Adams, like, it's just not fair. Like, you know, I've been so frustrated with the way the Chargers have used Keenan Allen. And my hope is that Kevin Koger and the influence of Matt LaFleur brings over a more efficient way to use Keenan Allen, because Davante Adams, they get him involved in so many different ways, and there's no reason that Keenan Allen can't do any of those things. All right, so back to Corey Linsley. Just a few simple plays here. I tweeted this play out because of Mercedes Lewis, who is the tight end right next to Billy Turner, I think his name is, number 89. But this is about Corey Linsley, obviously, and this is again a simple block, but it's one that we're not used to seeing being executed the right way. And so Corey Linsley, he does have moments of being a very strong run blocker, like physically strong, but he's not going to blow people off the ball. Like he's not going to take somebody and physically, impose his will. But he will do his job effectively, and he'll be able to get and work these angles and execute these reach blocks at a high level because he's just so smart. He's got great timing, and he's got great quickness. So we've all seen the past few years, Feeney and Scott Questenberry just get blown up, and the reason that plays don't work is because of them. And I didn't see like any of that from Corey Linsley. This isn't a flashy block right there, but being able to turn his hips like that and get to the opposing opposite shoulder and then just, be able to wall him off, that's a really hard block, especially against a guy like I think this is Nunez Roches, who's really strong, really powerful run blocker. And then just Mercedes Lewis, man, is a monster. So right here, number 89, just that now that we talked about Linsley, just watch Mercedes Lewis right here. It's just truly amazing. And that's Jason Pierre-Paul, like the entire way. He's just, 12 yards down the field and then just throws him aside. Incredible to watch that guy block. All right. So last one here. I think this is the last one. So again, he's not going to be able to just, dominate somebody, but the zone scheme really fits him well because it allows him to work the opposing rusher's shoulders. So often when you're in a power scheme, you just have to go straight ahead and try and push people off the ball. And that's great for some people. Your Marshall Yonda made a Hall of Fame career out of that kind of stuff. But the zone scheme really works in favor of Linsley's ability to get to opposing rushers' shoulders and then turn them around. So just a really effective block here. And I know this is JJ Watt, but if this tight end is able to, I'm really surprised they didn't have Mercedes Lewis in at this plate. But, look at this left side of the offensive line. Like linebacker, done. Nose guard, done. Defensive end, done. Outside linebacker, done. The left side, it's all perfect. And the right tackle, he gets up to the second linebacker. If this tight end is able to get JJ Watt, like even out of the play a little bit, this play could go for like 30, 40 yards. And then you have Devontae Adams and Valdez-Scantling in position to make blocks as well. So it was so much fun watching this offensive line block, man, because like they do such a good job. And it was like almost therapeutic, watching a great offensive line perform on a week-to-week basis. Not week-to-week, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. I guess I did have one more. So like I said, he's not like the strongest player, but I did want to throw this one in just to kind of show off his anchor ability. This is Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton is not a scrub. Like he is a strong defensive tackle. And Corey Linsley just absorbs the contact. And when was the last time you saw a Chargers center just handle his business on his own like this? I can't really even think of a specific example, honestly. So that's going to do it for my breakdown on Corey Linsley. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This should be a very exciting signing for the Chargers. Like if you want to see Justin Herbert win a Super Bowl, you should be excited about this signing. I think he's the best center, maybe the second or third best center in the league. And that's a huge, huge upgrade. And we've kind of talked about on the podcast, like going from Anthony Lynn and all the communication errors to Brandon Staley, how that's going to benefit the team. And it's going to be the same thing with Dan Feeney to Corey Linsley, because Corey Linsley, he talked about it today. Communication is key. It is the most important thing about the offensive line, because you can have 5 really talented guys. You can have 5, you can have 5 Teron Armsteads out there, David Bakhtiaris, but if you don't know what's happening, if you don't work together and communicate, then it doesn't really matter. And so I think Corey Linsley is going to be a great signing for the Chargers if he's able to stay healthy, able to stay on the field. And couldn't come at a better time, because him and Justin Herbert, it's going to be a lot of fun watching those two work. All right, guys. So that'll do it for this. If you learned something, please comment, like the show, subscribe to the channel. This is going to go on Patreon first, obviously. So make sure you guys, please let me know. Give me some feedback, what you guys thought. And just hopefully you guys enjoyed it. All right. See you next time.